The Iraqi poet known as Maruf al-Rusafi experienced three turbulent political periods: the late Ottoman period, the British occupation, and the Arab monarchy. Throughout these periods of tyranny and oppression, al-Rusafi used his pen as a weapon and fought the Ottoman oppressors and the British invaders. He defended the oppressed and incited them to rebel against the leaders in order to take back their legal rights. Al-Rusafi was known as the poet of freedom, and his revolutionary poems reflected social and political issues. Al-Rusafi started writing poetry when he was young, and during his youth he bravely criticized the corruption of Ottoman leaders. Many of his poems during this period address the corruption of Sultan Abdul Hamid. When the British occupied Iraq in 1920, al-Rusafi supported the Iraqi armed resistance and called on the people to rebel. In one of his poems, he stated the following: "When men are not free in their own home and country, consider them dead, and consider their country their grave." After crushing the Iraqi rebellion of 1920, the British installed Faisal as the king of the country. They also created a constitution and a false parliament. In relation to this constitution and parliament, al-Rusafi stated the following: "In the custom of politics, it is not permissible to name a treaty except by means of camouflage, deception, and empty words and phrases." Al-Rusafi also spoke out against King Faisal. After hearing one of al-Rusafi's poems that criticized King Faisal and the royal court, the king invited Rusafi to his palace and reprimanded him. But al-Rusafi did not apologize for what he had wrote and stormed out of the court. Along with Iraqi poet Jamil Sidq al-Zawahi, al-Rusafi was one of the major voices who spoke out against religious extremism and defended women's rights. Al-Rusafi also spoke out against sectarian divisions in Iraq and called for Shias and Sunnis to unite. He stated that the true Muslim must refer to themselves only as a Muslim and not as a Shia or a Sunni. Al-Rusafi was also a huge advocate for education and always supported the building of new schools and educational institutions. He once stated the following: "If ignorance and illiteracy spreads in a country, lions are transformed into monkeys." Al-Rusafi also attacked the reactionary conservatives who were against scientific progress and attacked certain tribal traditions, considering them as symbols of backwardness. Throughout most of his life, al-Rusafi remained poor and refused to compromise his principles for money. On one occasion, the king offered him 10,000 dinars and a position in the government in exchange for a poem praising the ruling family, but al-Rusafi refused to write such a poem. Maruf al-Rusafi wrote many influential works, including 19 books on poetry language, and history. And the legacy of Maruf al-Rusafi continues to inspire generations.